Hello there, folks. Patrick and the People Jim here to give you a nice little. It's been a good amount of time. We've processed the Super Bowl. We've processed the season. I'm here to give you some perspective and tell you that there is more football. Let's get into it, shall we, baby? It's XFL Jim on Patrick and the People. That's right, folks. We have the wild. We have the crazy. We have it all for you and your loins. Your luscious, lavacious loins. It's time for the weekly roundup with XFL Jim, brought to you by Patrick and the People. Start off, we got the Super Bowl recap. Eagles dominate the Chiefs. They spread open the Chiefs' defense and their offense and just boom, baby. Whole fist, no lube. That was the Eagles' definition. That was their MO this Super Bowl. Whole fist, no lube. The MVP should be the Eagles' front office for the way they developed and put together this team. It was something to behold. Jalen Hurts, though, well-deserved. He looked fantastic. One of the best games he's had all season. Saquon, for the most part, kept in check. It was very obvious the Chiefs were very much just keying in on Saquon, and they just couldn't do anything defensively or even offensively. The Eagles' defense was mwah. They had every answer. They were blowing up the Chiefs' offensive line. And Kelsey did nothing. Xavier Worthy in garbage time did stuff. Pat Mahomes' worst game of his career. It's crazy that Pat Mahomes' worst two games are both in Super Bowls. That's kind of nuts, right? If you really just sit back and think about it, it's kind of crazy a little bit. But for the season as a whole, it was a fun time. The Chiefs lucked their way into the Super Bowl, only to get blasted by the Eagles, who are one of the best put together, one of the most dominant rosters that I can think of in a long, long time. Now, I want to look forward into the future for what does the NFL look like next year. There's a couple teams I'm eyeing. For you gamblers out there, there's a couple teams. Raiders, 100-1 for the Super Bowl. Give me the right QB, and I think this team can do really well. Pete Carroll, wild card situation. Who knows what's going to happen? The Raiders are an intriguing team at 100-1. The 49ers at plus 1,500. They just had their worst year. Maybe you could argue they're still in the whole rebuilding process. They're still trying to figure that out. But I think the 49ers at 15-1, not awful. Definitely not awful. I'm intrigued, so to speak. And do the Chiefs get back? I don't know. Eagles, can they maintain this roster, this cohesiveness? That's something to watch out for, huh? Come down to the Mall of Memphis, where you can get umbrellas. JCPenney's apparently still there. There's movie theaters. There's a Sears still. There's a Sunglasses Hut. There's a lot going on in this mall. It's not abandoned yet, so come on down. Bring your grandma. It's the last thing she'll remember before she passes away, turned into dust. We even have a headstone person there because this is the Memphis Mall. Somehow, we're still open. Come to Dillard's and cry with your dad. Also located in Perkins somehow. With the NFL behind us, we have two leagues coming where we still get football. Remember, folks, football is not over. Football is never over. I'm going to go chronological, which means I'm starting with the AF1, Arena Football 1. There's three divisions, the East, the Central, and the West. So the East has the Albany Firebirds, the Orlando Predators, and the Nashville Cats. It did have the Wilkes-Barre Mavericks, but that team literally just bowed out of the league this week. So don't know what's going on there. The Central has the Corpus Christi Tritons, Southwest Kansas Storm, the Salina Liberty, and the West has the Arizona Bandits, Oregon Lightning, Billings Outlaws, and the Washington Wolfpack. This is good old-fashioned arena football as you remember it from the Kurt Warner days and even back when arena football was awesome. This is that league. There's 8 players. It's fast-paced offenses. Rebound nets are super fun. The scoring system is out of this world, and if you don't know anything about this league, let me just tell you, the championship last year was called the Brawl at them all. And I'm just gonna show some clips from it. That's all I'm gonna do. Here you go. AF1, fun as hell. This league, I'm looking forward to it. Starts March 8th, goes on until about mid-June-ish. I'm gonna at least try and make it to 1, maybe 2 games. It's fun. I'm so hyped for the AF1. I watched a couple games. They're partnered with Vice. I'm going to go in, do team breakdowns, give you the whole spiel. I'm probably going to dedicate 1 episode to each one of these leagues coming up. But the AF1 has a lot of fun going on, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, for the broad strokes of the UFL, the United Football League, my United Football League, starts March 28th. There are 8 teams. The Birmingham Stallions, St. Louis Battlehawks, Memphis Showboats, Houston Roughnecks, DC Defenders, Michigan Panthers, Arlington Renegades, and San Antonio Brahmas. It's so much fun to watch this league. So many players you remember from college. So many players that have dipped around in the NFL, come and gone. It's so amazing to look at. The odds were just announced, so I'll do a whole gambling spiel on why I like this team, why I like that team. Coming up, don't worry. Training camp starts coming this next week, so we're going to have full roster breakdowns available very, very soon. Now, the UFL differs from the NFL in some major ways. Before, I think a couple weeks ago, they were doing sort of a normal college-style kickoff where they just moved things back. If you watched the USFL a few years ago, you know what I'm talking about. They have since pivoted back into the XFL style kickoff that the NFL tried this last year. So the UFL will be doing something extremely similar. I will say this, the UFL does it in a way, and the XFL did it in a way where it encourages returns more often than not. The extra point is probably where they differ the most from the NFL. Instead of kicking a PAT, they can go for 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points. So it's like a 2-point conversion, except from the 2.5-yard line, you go for 1. From the 5-yard line, you go for 2. And from the 10-yard line, you go for 3. The other major difference for me is challenges. Instead of coaches having 1 challenge per half, they have the super challenge, where you can challenge literally anything, where you throw it, that's it, that's done, you don't get it back. In the NFL, in the UFL, you just get the 1 coach's challenge per half, and that's it. But you can challenge literally anything. It can be game-breaking. No onside kicks. I mean, there's onside kicks, but really no onside kicks. But instead of having to do an onside kick if you're down in the game, if you're down in the 4th quarter, the team that's down can elect to go for a 4th and 12 from their own 28. For those of you who've been following football a while, I think Greg Schiano sort of said something like this to be done in college and NFL going forward, but the UFL does it, and it works. We saw it plenty of times. The comeback mechanics are fantastic. They're fun, and they make for some great watching. And the other thing is 2 forward passes. As long as you throw the ball, it does not pass the line of scrimmage. Even if it's a forward pass, you can pass it again. So screen situation, shovel pass situation. There's a whole bunch of wrinkles that this kind of goes into the offense that you can imagine will make for very intriguing, interesting offensive snafus. We've seen it. My favorite still 2020 when Landry Jones of the Dallas Renegades at the time threw the ball. It bounced off a helmet, and then he caught it and threw it again. The first ever double pass in spring football. It was chef's kiss. And don't worry, I'm going to be doing deep dives. Once we get the finalized rosters, there's deep dives going on. Shout out my show Spring Fever. Link in the description down below, hopefully, or somewhere. Link somewhere. Me and my buddy Uncle Rico broke down our rankings of the 9 coaches in the UFL. Shout out Skip Holtz, always. I mean, no surprise for anyone who knows. Skip Holtz number 1. Spoiler alert. If you didn't understand what the UFL is about, then come on. What are we talking about here? But this is kind of what we're going to do going forward. Is we've got UFL to break down, AF1 to break down, and there's so much more football in this beautiful world, and I can't wait to experience it with all of you. Shout out Patrick. Shout out the people that make this possible. I'm XFL Jim. I'm actually Patrick and the People Jim. And I'll see you guys for the next Roundup.